All right, let's get right into it. We're about to take a look at a new kind of financial tool, something that honestly feels like it was pulled straight from a cypherpunk manifesto. But here's the thing, it's real, it's being built right now, and it just might change the whole game when it comes to privacy and compliance online. So what you're seeing here is the boot up for a tool called Spectre Invoices, which runs on the Aleo blockchain. And you got to pay attention to those last two lines, privacy on and compliance on. I mean, that's the core conflict, isn't it? How can you possibly have both of those things at the same time? Let's find out. To really get why this matters, we have to start with a problem. And the problem is that right now, our financial lives are basically an open book. It doesn't matter if you're using crypto or an old school bank, your privacy is pretty much just an illusion. And this slide just nails the issue perfectly. It's like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. On one side, you've got public blockchains. Yeah, they're transparent, but that means every single detail of your transaction is out there for the whole world to see. Then on the other side, you've got traditional invoices. They feel private, but you're actually leaking your name, your address, your bank info, all this super sensitive data to whoever you're dealing with. Neither one is a real solution. And this is the key. You can't just put a Band-Aid on this. It needs a totally new way of thinking, a system that's built from the ground up to solve this clash between privacy and transparency. And that brings us to Spectre Invoices. This is the solution we're talking about, a protocol for private invoicing that's built on Aleo, a blockchain that was literally made for this kind of problem. Okay, so how does it actually work? Well, this is the screen where you'd create an invoice, and what's so important is what's missing. There's no space for a name, an email, not even a public wallet address. All you need is the recipient's private Aleo ID and the amount. That's literally it. No personal data leaks into the system. So when you hit create, you're not blasting a public transaction out to everyone. Instead, you're creating what Aleo calls a record. Just think of it like an encrypted little data package that lives on the blockchain. It's there, you can prove it's there, but its contents are totally sealed and only visible to the people who are meant to see them. This one idea, the private on-chain record, is the key to everything else. So we have this private record, which is awesome, but how do you make it compliant and, useful? That's where Aleo's secret sauce comes in, zero-knowledge proofs. I mean, this is the billion-dollar question in finance today. Regulators need to know that transactions are legit and not funding sanctioned groups. But at the same time, people and businesses have a fundamental right to privacy. How in the world do you do both? And this right here, this is the magic trick. Spectre runs a compliance check by creating something called a zero-knowledge exclusion proof. It's proving a negative, that your address is not on a sanctions list. And the best part is, at the very end, it reveals absolutely nothing about you or the transaction. Nothing. The easiest way to think about a zero-knowledge proof is to imagine a digital notary. Let's say you have a document you need to get notarized. A normal notary has to read the whole thing, right? Well, a ZK proof is like a notary who can verify your document is 100% authentic without ever opening it. They just look at the cryptographic seal and say, yep, this is good to go, revealing zero information about what's inside. And that's what's so powerful here. You're not trusting some third-party company or a special piece of hardware. You are trusting pure mathematics. The proof is the compliance. You don't have to trust anyone. Okay, so now that we have that core concept down, trustless compliance, let's walk through the entire life cycle of an invoice in Spectre, from the second it's made to the moment the money is claimed. So it all boils down to 4 simple, private steps. First, the invoice gets created as that encrypted record we talked about. Second, the system automatically generates and attaches that ZK compliance proof. Third, the payer sends the money using a private Aleo transaction. And finally, the recipient claims the funds, again, totally privately. See the pattern? Privacy is the default, every step of the way. And if you're the person paying, the whole thing is completely seamless. You just see the invoice status flip from pending to verified once that ZK proof is done, and then to ready for payment. You get the peace of mind that it's compliant without ever seeing any of the other person's private data. This is the core promise, right here. The money moves, the transaction happens on-chain like it's supposed to, but all the sensitive details, who sent it, who got it, what it was for, all of that stays completely private. And now look at what the person on the other end sees. The invoice ID, the amount, it's all encrypted. The only things that are clear are the things that matter. Compliance is verified and the funds are ready to be claimed.
They get exactly what they need to know and absolutely nothing more.
And here's another really slick feature: efficiency. Think about a freelancer or a small business that gets tons of these private payments. Instead of claiming every single one individually, they can just batch them all together. The system generates one single proof to cover all the withdrawals and one private, cheap transaction. So let's zoom out. What does a tool like this really mean for the future of how we do business online? Because this isn't just some niche crypto thing, it's a potential blueprint for a whole new way of building financial plumbing. It really comes down to these fundamental ideas: a financial system with no surveillance built in, no needless exposure of your personal or business info, no having to choose between your privacy and the need for compliance. It just makes privacy the default setting, not something extra you have to add on. And that leaves us with this final, incredibly important idea. We're moving away from a model of compliant by trust, where we just hand our data over to big companies and hope they do the right thing. We're moving to a new paradigm, one where compliance isn't based on surveillance, it's based on mathematical proof. Compliance by proof. And think about it, this goes way beyond invoices. This is about proving you're an accredited investor without showing your bank statements, or proving you're over 21 without showing your ID. It separates verification from revelation. And that changes everything.